Okay, so we're programming here in the interactive shell. And under view, we have variables checked. So from here, we can use Thonny like a calculator. I can say x plus y, x times y, x divided by y, I want to show something else. Here's y mod x. The pound sign is a comment, so just making a comment, percent is mod. That means the remainder when you divide. So if I divide 19 by 7, 7 goes into 19 twice with the remainder of 5. And there we have it. So mod gives the remainder from division. All right. Let's use some if statements. Actually, first, let's look at some booleans. X less than 10. If you look over here on the right, you can see our variable x is 7. So is 7 less than 10? It's either true or it's false. Is this a true statement? It is. Because 7 is less than 10. Whereas if I do x greater than 10, I get false. Beyond just simply less than or greater than, we also have greater than or equal to. So that's false, but this is true. So that's your greater than or equal to sign. We also have the ability to use compound inequalities. So let's take a look at that. Say I want x to be, I want to see if x is greater than something but less than something else. So x greater than 4 and x less than 10 is true. If I say x greater than 4 and x less than 6, that's false because x is 7 and 7 is greater than 4. So this part was true, but this part was not. I can also use an or statement like x less than 10 or x greater than 20. Since x is 7, we know that 7 is less than 10, but it's not greater than 20. But that's okay. As long as one of those two things is true, it's true. Likewise, I can say x less than 10 or x greater than 5. And they're both true. And that's okay too. So that allows me to use compound kind of statements. We can also use those with equalities. So x equals 7 is true. X equals 8 is false. Remember, 1 equals sign assigns the value to x. So if I say x equals 9, what's going to happen is you're going to see my variable x is going to change to a 9. That's the difference between the single equal sign and the double equal sign. I'll put x back to 7. Always put on the left the variable and on the right the value you want it to have. Now we can do some if statements. We can say stuff like if x is equal to 10 or x is equal to 6 or x is equal to 7, print x is and so what we'll do is we'll print out what x is if one of those things is true. Will one of those things be true? Yes, because x is 7, the last one will be true, and an or statement, false or true, will all evaluate to true. And you'll see that it prints out. Okay? We can use our inequalities to do that as well. We can say if y is greater than 4, or greater than or equal to 13, and y is less than or equal to 19, I'll print y, and then comma allows me to print multiple things, is a teen. And so it'll print out the number and then say is a teen if it's true. And we've also seen else statements. Else statements are executed if the previous statement was not true. So for example, if I say if x is less than 10, print high, else print by. You'll notice that it doesn't print by, it only prints high, because x is 7, which is less than 10. Since this part here was true, it runs this code. It would only do that if the previous part were false. You can press the up arrow and it just brings up your last code that you typed in. I'm going to change this to x less than 6, and you'll see it will no longer print the high. Oops. I messed it up. I'll say if x less than 6, print high, else print by. Be sure you're putting colons at the end of your ifs and elses. They require that, and then it should auto-indent. You'll notice this time it printed by. The elif is a way to do something if one thing is true and everything before it was false. So I can say if x is less than 4, print A. If x is less than 6, print B. If x is less than 8, print C. Do 2 more. If x is less than 10, print D. Else print E. So in this situation, when we execute this, it's going to look here and it's going to see that the x value of 7, that it's going to say this is false. So it'll skip over printing A. Then it'll say else if x is less than 6, which is false. So it'll skip that. Then it'll say else if, or elif x is less than 8, print C. So it's going to print C. Then what's going to happen is this is going to get skipped. Yes, 7 is less than 10. But it would only do, because we said elif, it would only do that if everything above it had been false. So once one of these branches gets executed, it'll skip that. It also will skip the else. Pay close attention, though, to what happens when I change this one elif to just an if. Oh, wait. That's not the one I wanted. I'll change this to an if as well. Once I make it an if here, then what's going to happen is this will still be able to go. So if you want both of them to occur, if they're both true, then use ifs. Okay? And then they'll both occur. Because I didn't say elif, I said if. All right, if you don't mind, I'm just going to clear this shell out right quick. And if you press the stop, it'll get rid of your variables as well. I want to make a list. And I'm going to call it nums. The way you create a list in Python is to make open, close brackets. You can make a list with items already in it, or you can make a list that is blank. Either way, you can continue to change it as you go. So you'll notice that nums is a list and it is blank. I can add to nums. I can say nums.append, and I'm going to put the number 5. Oh, I put 4. Said 5, but I put 4. And you'll notice that there it is in my list. If you add a more complex object like a turtle, it'll say turtle object at, and it'll give you the reference code. Let's append another thing. You'll notice that it's appearing in my list as I go, right? Notice also that it's appearing in the order that I added them. So that's how we add numbers to a list. We can now get specific values from our list by putting the square bracket after the name, and the value is numbered starting at 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3. So if I say nums 0, I'll get the very first number in my list. If I say nums 2, I'll actually get the third number because it counts 0, 1, 2. Let's take a look at how to loop through a list and print each item in it. So for I in range, how many numbers are in my list? 4 numbers. So you put 4 there. Now the I value will be the numbers 0, then 1, then 2, then 3. Remember, when I becomes 4, it will stop and not execute the code, which is good since our indices are only 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the number of items goes here, and it perfectly matches the indices. So I can say print and I'm just going to say here it is, comma, and then I'm going to say nums bracket I. So what it's going to do is it's going to print out the word here it is, and then it's going to print the number. I just wanted to demonstrate that I can print more than just a number. And you'll see the first time I was 0 and I get 4. Then I was 1 and I got 9. I was 2 and I got -3, etc. Let's take a look at another way to loop through the list. We can also loop through the list by using what I call a for each loop. In this one, you make up a variable name like num, and you just say in, and this has to be a list. So I'm saying for num in nums. And then instead of being the indices, num will actually be the number values 4, 9, 3, -3, and 21. So if I print them, you'll see them appear just like that. All right, we have a list. We've seen how to iterate through it. We've seen how to print all the values. What if we want to remove something? Well, just tell it what you want to remove. That's pretty easy, right? Okay, so there is another thing we can do. Oops. If you, what is it? Control. So if you type in the object and hit, not control, is it tab? If you type a period and hit tab, you get a nice little thing. You can get some suggestions on what you can do with it. So I'm going to do insert. And what I'm going to insert is 1, 19. So this first number is the index where it'll go. So right now my list has 9 at index 0, -3 at index 1, and 21 at index 2. I'm going to add at index 1 a 19. You'll notice it appeared right there, and then the rest scooted back. So those are some of the things that you can do with your list. One more cool thing, reverse is really cool. Look carefully at my list, and then I called reverse, and it reversed it. Pretty neat, huh? All right. So that's a review of variables, booleans, looping, and lists.